Here is the recap of American Horror Story Cult. On the day of the United States presidential election, it becomes known that Trump has won. This news shocks the married couple Ellie and Ivy because now their marriage may become invalid. Friend Tom, who is a member of the local administration, is also indignant and criticizes his wife for not voting for Clinton. The situation heats up when Ellie finds a comic book with clowns at her son Oz's room, after which she becomes hysterical. The thing is, she has a phobia of them, and the recent political news has only intensified it. The next day, Ellie and Ivy invite a new nanny for their son for an interview, because the last one, apparently, was an immigrant and disappeared after Trump was declared president. So a young girl, Winter, comes to their house, who manages to convince parents that she is the perfect candidate for Oz. The spouses hire her, but do not yet realize her terrible secrets. Soon Ellie goes to the supermarket, where she meets her fears again. The girl sees clowns everywhere who want to attack her. Trying to escape, Ellie gets into her car and calls Ivy, but at the same time she notices a clown in the rearview mirror, accidentally hits the gas and crashes into a pole. The police investigate but find no evidence that there really were clowns in the store. Meanwhile, a guy named Kai is happy about Trump's election, after which he goes to the local government with his suggestions. The guy proposes to control the people of the town through fear. However, Tom, Ellie's friend, rejects his proposal. Then Kai goes to the street and provokes a small group of immigrants who succumb to the provocation and beat him up, at which point someone takes a video of what is happening. Ellie and Ivy go out for a romantic dinner, while Oz and Winter notice a van pulling up to the house. The boy sees the very clowns that Ellie is seeing get out of the van and enter Tom's house. Together with the babysitter, the boy sneaks to a neighbor's window and notices a group of unknown masked men brutally murdering a married couple. The police investigate again, but as in Ellie's case, find no evidence that it was murder. Soon a married couple, Meadow and Harrison, move in next door. Despite the fact that no one really knows them, Winter lets Oz go to visit them, as the shocked mothers find out. The girls are going to pick up their son, and the new owners of the house decide to get a little frisky with them. As a result, the acquaintance goes strangely, and now Ellie believes that there is clearly something wrong with these two. Meanwhile, at the butcher shop run by the main characters, the employees quarrel racially, and soon one of them is found dead. The detective is sure that behind all this is the second employee, a Latino Pedro, but Ellie does not think so. The situation becomes extremely tense, and the girl's phobias manifest themselves more acutely than ever. In addition, dead birds on the lawn and a strange van spraying some kind of gas only further intensify her paranoia. In the end, she comes up with nothing better to do than borrow a gun from her new neighbors for self-defense. After the death of an employee, Ivy has to throw all the groceries out of the shop, and to fulfill orders, she mortgages the house. Now there is twice as much work, so she goes away, leaving her wife at home with the child and the nanny. Meanwhile, Winter is sympathetic to Ellie's psychological trauma, but instead of pills, he offers her a relaxing bath and a glass of wine. Suddenly, the electricity in the house disappears, and the nanny hurriedly leaves, leaving Ellie alone with her fears. Ellie sees the clowns again, grabs Oz, takes the gun, and tries to run out into the street. But at that time, Pedro approaches their house with an errand from Ivy. In the darkness, Ellie doesn't have time to see him and accidentally kills him on the spot. This incident could not go unnoticed, so fierce activists for the equality of all races and genders immediately recognize her as a racist and a murderer. But this series of troubles does not end there, because soon it turns out that the neighbors gave Oz a guinea pig. At first, Ellie takes this gift negatively, but when she decides to keep it, something terrible happens. The family arrives home and sees the guinea pig explode in the microwave. But that's not all, because the same symbol is painted on their door that Tom's neighbor had before he died. Ellie is convinced that their new neighbors are behind it all, so she breaks into their house and threatens to kill them if they dare to come near her family again. On their way back, they find the same smiley face mark on Meadow and Harrison's house. Despite all the evidence and proof, the detective does not take any action and continues to believe that Ellie has certain mental problems. At this time, the main characters are called by their son, It turns out that on his computer opened a video that cannot be closed. So Ellie learns that a hidden camera was installed in the bathroom, and the video shows her and the nanny who helped her take a bath. Ivy sees all this, throws a tantrum, accuses her of betrayal, and then takes her son and is about to leave. But at that moment the police appear on the street, and it turns out that Meadow has been kidnapped. Meanwhile, Crazy Kai becomes popular after a video posted on the internet. For everyone, he is a martyr who was beaten by immigrants. On the wave of such success, the guy decides to go into politics and take the now vacant seat of a counselor, because after Tom's death, no one has yet come to his post. From the memories of the main characters, certain details of the election day become clear. It turns out that Kai, in his quest for power, began to recruit people even before the election of the president. He met Harrison at the gym, after which he convinced him to kill the annoying boss. When Harrison agreed to become his follower, Kai began processing local reporter Beverly. He offered the woman an equal partnership and, after proving his abilities by killing her direct competitor, convinced Beverly to join his political cult. At the same time, Ivy learns that her wife voted not for Clinton, but for another candidate. The upset girl goes to a political rally where she meets Winter. Together they stand up for women's rights, so they decide to kidnap an ardent opponent of Clinton. They handcuff him so that the guy cannot get out and vote for Trump. But soon, on a tip from Winter, who, as it turns out, is Kai's own sister, the cult leader finds the poor guy and offers him an unusual solution. So with the help of a saw, he cuts off his arm and comes to the polling station to cast his vote for Trump. Winter then sets Ivy up with his brother. Through the firm technique of communicating with squeezed little fingers that Kai uses with all of his followers, the guy learns that Ivy actually hates his wife, and it started the day Oz gave birth. The thing is, it wasn't her who gave birth to the boy, it was Ellie. In the present, Ellie continues to suffer from paranoia and comes to see Vincent, a therapist. The man advises Ellie to go to a hospital, but she refuses. In the evening of the same day, the girl notices a strange movement in the neighbor's yard and decides to see what is going on there, so she notices a hole, and in it Meadow. Frightened, Ellie runs away, but soon notices a neighbor at her window. The woman asks for help and tells her about Kai's cult and the fact that she and Ivy are members of it. Wanting to know the truth, Ellie frees her and forces her to tell the truth. She learns that all this time Ivy has been driving her crazy on purpose. Meanwhile, Beverly and Kai have an honest-to-goodness pinky talk session, and the reporter learns the cult leader's story. It turns out that when his father became disabled, he turned into an oppressive tyrant. Eventually, his mother couldn't take it anymore and killed her husband and then herself. At that moment, his brother appeared, which, as it turned out, is a psychiatrist, Vincent, and suggested not to advertise the death of parents. They hid their bodies in the bedroom so as not to ruin their reputation and continue to receive compensation for the father's disability. It is election day for the council, at which Kai makes his speech. It turns out that there is another candidate for the position, Sally. Ellie finds out about the woman and decides to tell her everything she knows. Sally sort of believes her, but a cult shows up and kills her, and Ivy, noticing Ellie, doesn't turn her over to Kai. The next day, Meadow shows up at a rally where Kai is speaking and shoots him and others. Ellie tries to prevent a mass tragedy, but fails. Meadow kills himself and Ellie is taken away by the police, who end up putting her in a mental institution. At this point, Ellie does not yet know that Meadow's sacrifice was also part of Kai's plan. Beverly begins to realize that the situation is getting out of control, at which time the ideological feminist BB finds her. Eventually, Winter, Ivy, and Beverly team up with an elderly stranger and decide to take back women's rights by killing Kai, since the cult leader has recruited a bunch of crazy men to be his subordinates. Meanwhile, Ellie is released from the clinic and soon meets Vincent. It turns out that the man has recently learned that his brother has gone off the rails, and now he intends to help her at any cost. The girl sees this as her chance and calls Kai for dinner. She decides to make a deal with him and tells him about Vincent in exchange for the chance to get her son back. Kai agrees and soon kills his own brother. Ivy is remorseful and tries to connect with Ellie. Despite her betrayal, Ellie agrees and offers to stay together. Except that Kai steals their son and, roughly speaking, uses the boy as a leverage on the main characters. In order not to harm their son, the girls leave. Ellie has prepared dinner and together with Ivy is going to have a good evening. But it turns out that all this was her plan, and she will not be able to forgive her former lover. It turns out that she poisoned her food and wine, after which she confesses to Kai that she killed Ivy. So she manages to gain the trust of the current counselor, who is now going to run for senator. Meanwhile, the feminist BB tries to kill Kai, but Ellie stops her, thus showing Kai her unconditional loyalty. Kai becomes paranoid that the FBI is listening in, so he tries to find the traitor. Suspicion falls on Winter, and he ends up killing his sister. But as it turns out, the rat was another of his followers. Soon to bypass his rival and become a senator, Kai intends to intimidate the entire city and then provide the citizens with his protection, thus increasing the level of trust of the population. In the end, he decides to kill 100 pregnant women overnight. But this mission fails because Ellie has been in cahoots with the FBI since the day she was admitted to the mental institution. So on the night the cult planned to attack the pregnant women, they were arrested by the police. 11 months have passed and Kai is in jail. Ellie has become a popular symbol of freedom and justice, so she soon decides to run for senator. And then, on the day of the debate, right during her speech, Kai, an escaped convict, bursts into the hall. He tries to kill her, but the gun, which he was supposedly given by his follower, turned out to be unloaded. In reality, it was Allie who planned the whole thing. Beverly ends up killing the guy with a shot to the head, and Ellie becomes a senator fighting for gender equality. This is the end of Season 7. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.